Bobby, would you lead us in prayer, please?
Will, Judge. If you would, bow your heads with me. Dear Lord, as we come before you, we're thankful for this day and your many blessings, and thankful for you being the God that does hear our prayers. We ask you just now, dear Lord, for peace and just your tender love and care for those parents and loved ones down in Florida with the shooting that we had in the schools last week. Dear Lord, just bless our country and let us get through this, but let us do something to prevent something like this from happening again. Dear God, we ask your blessings upon all the soldiers that's on foreign soil today, that you'd bless them, dear Lord, and give them safe passage back to us. We ask you, Lord, to bless this meeting, everything that's be done, let it be done to be pleasing to you as we serve the people of Pike County. We ask this all in the name of Jesus Christ and for his sake, and amen.
Amen. All right, the meeting come to order. Presiding officer, a roll call by the clerk, please.
Judge Deskins,
Here.
Magistrate Anderson.
Here.
Magistrate Compton. Magistrate Murphy. Magistrate Robinson. Magistrate Dodson.
Here.
Magistrate Varney.
Here.
All right, Leo, would you lead us in the approval of minutes of February the 6th, 2018. I need a motion.
Motion. Second.
Roll call, please.
Magistrate Anderson.
Yes.
Magistrate Compton.
Yes.
Magistrate Murphy.
Yes.
Magistrate Robinson. Magistrate Dodson.
Yes.
Magistrate Varney.
Yes.
Judge Deskins.
Yes. All right. Presentation regarding fleet-o-matics. Justin, will you?
Yes. Mr. Deputy Judge Deskins and I had met with CAECO previously, and some of you all were in that meeting. And part of the products that they came out with and told us about was Fleetmatics. And I had mentioned that to some of you guys. Now, the guy that's coming to present, his name is Mr. Todd Leonard. He is the Mason County landfill manager. They implemented this program, and instead of having the company come and present, I thought somebody who had already implemented that product and discussed the safety measure of that product would be better suited to present here. So, Mr. Todd Leonard.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
First off, I want to thank you for having me come down here and talk to you about what we're doing in Mason County. Justin contacted me a couple weeks ago, said that you guys were looking at implementing some kind of safety program with your garbage trucks. And he talked to Steve Clary from CAECO, who's also our state representative, or our CAECO representative that we have. And one time last year, we had a driver of ours had a medical incident out on the route, had a seizure, couldn't find him for 40 minutes. No one knew where the truck was.
You got your mic on.
Is it on? Is it not on now? It's green, so. So he had a medical situation out there, and the riders that we have are inmates, and the inmates didn't want to get on his cell phone, so they got on a radio. They weren't local inmates, so they had no idea where the guy was. So we had to backtrack the route before we found him. We've also had the situations of replacing mailboxes, incidents of accusations of driving too fast, harsh driving, slamming on brakes. In Mason County, we not only have Mason County Solid Waste that drives trucks, but City of Maysville, Rumpke, and Advanced Waste. So you've got 4 entities. So sometimes it's hard to identify because if somebody calls in, they don't look at the name on the side of the truck, they just call the landfill. So we went to Waste Expo and we started looking around for vendors for GPS for vehicles, not for tracking, just specifically so we can monitor the safety issues on the trucks. We contacted several. The only one that ever got back to us was Fleetmatics. And in your packet, you can see this is what I give to our fiscal court monthly. We monitor just normal speeding events, hard brake, hard cornering, and from there we can generate a safety score. And that safety score is how we tell if our drivers are doing what they're supposed to be doing or not. It's a very simple plan. It's easy to use. It costs us $11 a month per vehicle. The other thing that we've got with ours is we can integrate through a Garmin unit. So in each one of our refuse trucks, any dispatcher can send a message to that truck instead of having to call or get on a radio. The other thing is the drivers have pre-programmed responses, so they can contact back, is the truck regenerated, is that why they're stopped? Are they at lunch? Are they at a certain way? Or they can even type in their own message. So it's just another way to communicate from the truck to the office and vice versa. The other thing that we've got is, since we do use inmate labor, our jailer has access to this. So if they need to go out and find an inmate that's on a garbage truck or a recycle truck, all she has to do, log onto the system, and they can go get that individual. So we use it for multiple departments, not just for solid waste.
You said it costs $11
A month. Mm-hmm.
per vehicle.
Per vehicle.
How many trucks you all have, Todd, that's on?
We're running 10 right now,
Okay.
and we're getting ready to add at least 2 more in the next year.
Will that $11 come down a little bit if you're adding some?
It depends. I don't think they're gonna, for that few trucks, they're not gonna do that for us. But we're also looking at implementing this at our road department for our salt trucks.
Yeah.
And then we're also looking at putting it on jail vehicles, just as a safety precaution. So if we add those, that would give us roughly maybe 35 vehicles, and we may be eligible for a discount.
Yeah.
The other thing is, right now, we don't get a discount on our insurance, but we're trying to work with Steve Clary to say that, if we've implemented this safety plan,
Right.
can we get some kind of reduction? So he's still working and looking into that for us.
What kind of deal is that you're talking about? Does it go on the wheels or on the dash or?
Ours is actually the GPS unit, like the Garmin unit or the tracking unit.
What are you talking about, the tracking unit or the GPS? What are you talking about you got on your trucks?
What we've got, well, the tracking unit is what we generate this report from. And it's actually installed inside the dash, so the drivers can't tamper with it, turn it on, turn it off. And then the Garmin unit that we use the communication for just plugs right into a wire coming off of that.
It's like a little black box or airplane, I guess, ain't it?
Basically, yes, about the size of a deck of playing cards.
What all data does it tell you about the truck and speed?
It's the packet that I gave you there. What I turn in, we do a speeding severity trend, is one of the first reports that we do. And what that's gonna do is gonna tell you how many days that truck was running, and then it'll give you instances from 1 to 5 miles an hour over, 6 to 15, and 15 over. It'll track that. We also have a speeding violation where it'll give you the max speed that it went over. The harsh driving events would be for any excessive speeding, hard accelerations, hard braking, or sharp turns. The safety scores generated from all that. I also do a wasted fuel report just to show, if guys are sitting idling, if we need to change routes or anything like that. And then we also do a distance traveled report. That's just a start. There's probably about 50 to 60 more reports that you can actually generate out of that. One thing that they pitched to us that we're not very interested in was you can use it for a timesheet for payroll whenever the driver gets in there. You can also, for an additional money, if you wanted to, you can install what they call a key fob. Each driver has their own little card. They tap it to the truck, and that tells you which driver's in that truck for that day. So we just use the bare minimum is what we do, but you can actually almost customize for whatever you want.
Hey, Todd, are there any installation costs, or is that $11? Does that include?
$11 a month included installation, lifetime warranty. Anytime we need a replacement, they'll come and replace it. Now, Fleetmatics does not do the install. They use a third party to install, so they'll have just a list of people. They'll send one out there to you to start doing the installs for you. It takes about 20 to 25 minutes per truck. We've got an older model truck that took about 40 minutes because they had to figure out the wiring on it. But it's a lifetime warranty. If one of the units goes down, you call them, they come in and put a new one in.
Well, have you noticed, how long have you all had it?
We're going on about 14 to 15 months right now. Having
Notice that you've got a better safety record in these
the
14, 15 months than you had in the previous 14 or 15 months?
Yes, we do. One is one of the drivers that we had the majority of our complaints about didn't last long after we installed the system. It takes care of good drivers and bad drivers. His safety score was hovering somewhere around 70, 75. Everybody else is between 100 and 98. Right now, we've got everybody pushing 98 to 100.
So that will give you a record of day-to-day safety.
Yes, you can print daily reports, weekly reports, monthly reports, and annual reports. The other thing is that Fleetmatic stores all your data lifetime for you. So if there is an incident, they can go back and pull it up. So if there's an accident, CAECO needs to get involved, they can pull the data down, or you can pull it down and you can submit it to them also.
Now, what's this go into, a main screen, or how do you monitor it?
What you're going to get is Fleetmatics has a web page. You're going to get a login, and you can log in on that. You can do it on a computer. Fleetmatics also has a phone app, so I keep mine on my phone for my work phone. Mine is set up for if there is an incident, any kind of moderate to hard issue, it'll send me a text message. It'll also send you a follow-up email. The other thing that it'll do is whenever there's an instance, it'll print your report. This is what happened. This is where it happened, and then you can also download Google Maps, and it'll show you exactly where the instance took place.
How long after that incident does it notify you on the phone? Is it almost?
Within about 5 seconds.
Yeah. That's good. A little bit.
We certainly thank you for coming down today and giving us that, the information.
Well, thank you. If you have any more questions, Justin has my contact information. Just feel free to call.
Thank you, Todd.
Thank you, Todd. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
sir.
On your GPS tracking, have you guys done any testing around Pike County as far as areas that you might not get a signal?
No, because we're just running in Mason County. I don't know what Fleetmatic would say, because it's all going to run on satellite. So if a normal GPS is working, it should work. I haven't had any instances in Mason County with dead spots.
I know we,
If I'm not surrounded by.
we use
Right.
GPS units, Trimble's, to do our data collection for the county.
Mm.
There's some parts of the county where, we have trouble getting signal,
Mm.
satellites and stuff to connect with, so that's something you guys might want to look at and maybe do some testing if you.
Well, I don't, we implement the program, we just pay for it, I don't run it. So it'd be a question for Fleetmatics to ask them on that one.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you.
All right, adoption of a resolution of the Pike County Fiscal Court authorizing the county judge executive to accept and transfer a 2016 Kentucky General Assembly House Bill 303 coal severance project from the Commonwealth of Kentucky Department for Local Governments for geothetical drilling and analysis in the Kentucky Enterprise Industrial Park in the amount of $100,000. Herbie, would you?
Judge, this, get Sandy running, these are, things that we've had to do over because of a different way that they're doing things down in Frankfurt. I think Sandy will have the, explanation of the next 4 projects. We'll probably have to vote on them individually, but, her explanation will, relate to the next 4 projects that's on the agenda.
They will, and Judge, I was here at your last meeting with much the same issue. Department for Local Government has determined that they need to change their process a little bit in some of these coal severance projects. There's nothing changed except just the process, and it will require two recommendations from the Pike Fiscal Court for those dollars to be used by, I think, Elkhorn, Coal Run, any of those entities within the county. And it is, you have already approved the projects, as I understand it. It's simply a different process that they're requiring. There's 2 different recommendations and agreements that you're approving for a project you have already approved. the process. It's paperwork,
So would you like for us to approve it again?
please.
Well, yeah,
Herbie, will you address this?
well, yeah, just ask for the, motion.
I need a motion and a second.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Magistrate Anderson?
Yes.
Magistrate Compton?
Yes.
Magistrate Murphy?
Yes.
Magistrate Robinson? Magistrate Dotson?
Yes.
Magistrate Varney?
Yes.
Judge Deskins?
Yes.
And then just ask me on the second one here, on the same, the $100,000 for the, what, it's Sandy.
This next one is exactly
First two's the
project.
same, ain't they, Sandy?
They're the same, it's two separate documents on the same project, so it's the same thing, just two separate documents that require a separate motion.
Oh, yeah, okay, that's what I was gonna say, that requires second vote.
All right, I need a motion. and a
Motion.
Second.
You mean you'll be able to know it?
No.
Okay, roll call.
We got
I think so.
Roll
Yeah.
call, please.
Magistrate Anderson?
Yes.
Magistrate Compton?
Yes.
Magistrate Murphy?
Yes.
Magistrate Robinson? Magistrate Dotson?
Yes.
Magistrate Varney?
Yes.
Judge Deskins?
Yes.
And this next one is on Coal Run. It's exactly the same thing. You have already approved the project as far as them being able to use coal severance dollars. It's just a change in how that documentation is submitted by DLG. So there's two resolutions there on that same project. Again, it's just paperwork. You've already approved the use of those funds by Coal Run.
Just need a motion?
Roll call, please.
Magistrate Anderson?
Yes.
Magistrate Compton?
Yes.
Magistrate Murphy?
Yes.
Magistrate Robinson? Magistrate Dotson?
No.
Magistrate Varney?
No.
Judge Deskins?
Yes.
Okay. The second, we need a second vote on the,
Okay, motion?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Magistrate Anderson?
Yes.
Magistrate Compton?
Yes.
Magistrate Murphy?
Yes.
Magistrate Robinson? Magistrate Dotson?
No.
Magistrate Varney?
No.
Judge Deskins?
Yes.
is there another one there, Sandy, that,
That's all of them, I believe.
That's all I need on that, but I do have a suggestion that I would like to make to you this morning. It's not on your agenda, but it's concerning a coal severance dollars that you all have in-house. You have talked about for several months the remainder of a coal severance project for trails, and I think you have about $82,000 or $83,000 left in that pot of money. And as I have said to you before, among the other changes that DLG is making, they're also going to a new system which is requiring that all of the coal severance projects that are out there will be spent by June 30th of this year. They're asking that all the paperwork be submitted and in process by April. So anything that is not spent will go back into the coffers. I would like to suggest to you that you think about using that $80,000+ to work toward the trail building that you're doing. You have some things that are in process, and it appears that the trails are going to go forward in Pike County and surrounding counties, and when that happens, you're going to have some equipment to work toward that effort. I have spoken with DLG, and I do not have it in writing yet, but I have been told that those dollars can be used for the purchase of equipment toward trail building and maintenance. Now, obviously that decision is up to you all, but if you would elect to go that way, then we could get that recommendation today, and then we could work toward that in getting that done, and then whatever that equipment list would be, we could bring back to the court for approval.
Sandy, I'd like to make a motion that we use it before we lose it. And, you know, if it's buying equipment to work on trails or whatever, I'd rather see Pike County have it as it go back into the coal severance and we not get it.
Well, it can be used for equipment, maintenance equipment, for GPSing equipment, for, whatever you would need toward that effort.
And we're gonna need some of that anyhow,
Yes, you are.
whenever we do the trip.
Yes, you are.
You know, if it's GPS or whatever, like you say, we'll need it. We count on Charles and them up there every time we need to put a little something on the map. So maybe we can get trained and use that equipment and make our trails a little better.
Did you make a motion?
Yeah.
I'll second that motion then.
Roll call, please.
Magistrate Anderson,
Yes.
Magistrate Compton,
Yes.
Magistrate Murphy,
Yes.
Magistrate Robinson, Magistrate Dodson,
Yes.
Magistrate Varney,
Yes.
Judge Diskin.
Yes.
Sandy, when will we, be the last day that we have to have that in? I mean, I'm not saying we're gonna wait till the last day, but when do we have to have it in? So we can set a deadline and make sure that we don't lose it.
We have been told that all of the coal severance projects must be submitted and ready to use by the end of April. They're requesting that those dollars be spent by June 30th. So anything that we work on has to be fast-tracked in order to make that deadline.
Yesterday, I talked with Representative Hatton, and she was saying that we need to get future plans in very soon. Are you?
They haven't talked to us about that yet, but I'm assuming that they will want, anything that they do in this session, they will want to have plans in place to move forward with it. I will also tell you while I'm up here, Jeannie,
Okay, in the past, years ago, we used to submit projects that we were interested in, and I think they did line items. They're not gonna do that now, are they? They're still doing it like now. We have to
Yes.
have approval of all our legislators before they can move forward with the project.
that is correct.
So the process hasn't changed and went back to the old process.
It has not changed and gone back to the old process. It will still remain the same.
Okay, so I think probably, I'll follow up with the call, but probably what she was saying is, if we want anything out of this House Bill 303, we have to get it, just like Sandy said, we have to get it submitted and approved and spent and closed out before June 30th.
That is correct. And that's going to be very difficult to do on some projects, but, and while I'm talking about that, I'll give you an update on the other three that we're working on. I have spoken with all of the representatives except Representative Hatton. I have not had a chance to speak to her today, but we do have approval on the other projects that we had submitted. So I will get those to Jeannie as quickly as possible, and Terry already has the applications ready to submit. We're waiting on the letters. As soon as we get those, we'll get those submitted and get them in the pipeline. I have 3, yes. That's all I have, Judge.
Thank you, Sandy.
Thank you. All right, review of the proposed 2018-2019 budget.
And you getting the two down that way? Okay.
Okay, just passed out in front of you are 2 sheets. The carry forward money from June 30th of 2017 was $2,060,096.17. But we had encumbered POs of $290,228.40, which left $1,769,867.77. But of that, we have the LGDF restricted funds, which has $482,981.94 in it. That is from the Coca-Cola lease that we have down at Mossy Bottom. Those have to be applied for through Department for Local Government, Economic Development Authority to be used for any funds. So you subtract that off and subtract forestry fund, restricted funds off, we're left $1,261,054.59. Going into next year's budget, we know that the KERS Actuary Board has set the amount for KERS for 18-19 is going from the current 19.18% to 28.05%. This past 6 months, our payroll was 3.6 million, so I doubled 3.7 million, so I doubled that to get the 7.6 times the 1918. Currently, we're paying on that kind of payroll $1,460,123.10 to retirement. If the wages stayed the same for the next year, that would be $2,135,372.94, which means we have to increase our CURS contribution by $675,249.84 in next year's budget. I am banking on the fact that we will have a health insurance increase due to the fact that we got it to 3% last year, and that was by a lot of finagling, and I know there's been a lot of claims this year, so I went with a guesstimate of 15% increase because we've not really had an increase in 3-4 years probably of any nature. So that would add our current policy is $615.10 per individual, and for 225 individuals, that would increase by $92.27, which would make it $707.37. So the current yearly rate times 225 employees would mean the increase would go up $249,115.50. Then we also had to repay to the sheriff's account in Frankfurt because they accidentally deposited something and gave us money that wasn't truly ours. So we took it out of his supplement, but I have to give it back to him in order to make him have the right amount of money by $62,500. Plus, we also agreed to increase him by $25,000 for the drug dog and the officer. Then I have $200,000 budgeted for unmined coal, and last year we only got about $80,000, so I figured that's over budgeted by about $120,000. So of last year's money, if we want to use it going into next year, we would still have about $129,189.25, plus there will be some carry forward money from this year's budget too, but I'm still getting the numbers collected on that. Let me tell you where we are as far as carry forward money has been. When you all came in with the 14-15 administration, or in 15 with the budget for 14-15, we ended that fiscal year with $2.8 million, but $265,000 was the LGDF after we had given RCC Big Shoal $400,000 and the forestry funds, which left an unbudgeted $2.5 million. Then we had to do all the scrambling, cutting, implementing the occupational tax. In the year 15-16, we ended up with $176,863.81 in our account. I didn't even include the recaptured money at this point. And then to come back to at least, 1.2 million has been really great that we have buckled down and really brought ourselves forward by what we have done. The second page you will see is the coal severance money. I was real conservative with this number again, but for next year's budget, we're going to have to bring this coal severance down. Last year didn't meet what we had budgeted, and this year is not going to meet what we have budgeted. But the fact is that the mineral was very, very conservative, not knowing this is a number that I can't have no rhyme or reason with. As you will see in the 14-15 year, we got $2,628,982. Last year, we actually received $745,189.45. And this year, we're on track to probably go to 1.2 million, which will offset whatever is short for coal and maybe have a little bit extra there. The collections on the property taxes are coming in very good, but we brought in totally last year $3.29 million. So far this year, we have $2,962,027.13. So, hopefully we will get another, that is up from this time last year. We had collected $2,771,000 through February, so we're up about close to 200,000. So hopefully we'll get the next 300 and some more thousand in by the end of the collection time to put us where we collected last year at 3.29 million. And with solid waste just having gone out, it will be probably till the end of March to see how those collections have been, but they've been good so far. Any other questions anybody has?
What the question was, how much do we,
I figure we will end up with probably another 500,000 or 600,000 add to this 100, so probably by the end of this year, we may have another 750 to $1 million.
It'll good.
Yes,
That's the end of the fiscal year?
correct.
John, one of the questions that we had was, are we gonna be able to balance our budget? I know you don't know yet, but does it look like
Yeah,
we're gonna be able to have a balanced budget and do away with the occupational tax?
no.
You didn't waste no time saying that.
how much does
He says you're gonna be $1 million to the good, we gotta have $3 million to do away with occupation tax.
You'd have to have we got 3.4 million last year from occupational net profits tax. And if I want $1 million to the good, there's no way to get rid of the occupational tax and net profits.
About half of it.
Not knowing what the future brings, I would hate to see, now that it's implemented, that we even start doing anything with it, because we don't know how long it will stay up there. That it may start decreasing too if there's more people going into the city and leaving us because of the coal going down so much still. There's still so much uncertainty with the coal.
And any new jobs we got projected right now, 90% of them is gonna be within the city limits, aren't
Correct.
they? The interblue place and stuff.
Yes.
But we've got a few more months to kick this around, and look at it,
Yep.
see what we
And,
come
you
up with. I
know,
know
this
we-
is just my
We told the
projection.
people that we would try to get this off as soon as we could. You know, it was a must at the time. And it's created a lot of problems with our people, you know, being able to work and pay it. And then the property tax increase, that was a smack. Electric bills, everything's coming crashing in on people.
Well, you all have not had an increase in your road accounts in how long? You all are trying to operate on 90-some thousand, isn't it?
135,000.
135. You've come down from 225. City? If not, it will be. I don't know. I don't know if they've already incorporated Marion's Branch or not.
I don't think so. I think it's still in the county. I believe it is.
Okay, you see any areas, John, that we're spending more money than what we have been the past couple of years?
The maintenance garage is up a little bit with road parts and stuff. And from what I understand, we're having problems with the new vehicles that are on lease of the engines aren't working right, and we're also having rats eat into the wiring, which is not covered under warranty.
Rats.
Yes, ma'am. Rats are eating into the wiring. and that's about $1,000 each whack.
Sound like you need to get an exterminator over there.
I'm not sure
Get
what
rid of
lots
some of the
these
rats.
are. My understanding is they are trying to take actions to keep the rats from doing it, but they get into the, is it the conductor or the,
We've had a lot of problems on the Robinson Creek lot, and the exterminators goes to each lot, every month. And they put out bait and so forth and set traps, but, we've been even putting, bait in behind the seats of the trucks and everything, and still yet they're just eating it up, so I don't really know what to do with it. Sounds to me like the bait's no good.
Get some cats into them.
Has this been a problem before, Bob? I mean, it's,
maybe
Oh,
if
is
it's,
that on these new trucks we just bought?
yes.
Yeah, on those are Dodge Mini Packers mostly is what they're on, but we've had trouble, as John just said also, on these lease trucks. Every time you get on the road, some kind of a light comes on, and then we have to take it back down to Lomansville to have it worked on. And they're kind of slow down there, so we try to build a fire in under them, but you know how that goes.
It's all caused by the rats.
Some of it is, yes. But a lot of it is on those lease trucks like that is factory defaults or something.
I'm glad somebody's getting to feel a little bit of what I felt last year. They had one of mine parked for 3 months, and we had to pay it every month on that rental and lease payment.
Yeah.
And that's what I was trying to get across to the people, you know, that we lease from. They should have some kind of a backup truck or something instead of parking that truck for that long period of time due to a recall or a factory problem.
Our dirt truck's down there right now.
Well, Frankie tried to negotiate with them, but they wasn't no negotiations to be had.
As you can see, the occupational tax and the net profit brings us in the most money of anything at this point. Then second would be our property tax bills. And
okay, looking to.
coal and mineral, I don't know where you'd put them at this point in time. It'd be third, I guess, of the greatest number, besides what the jailer brings in through his office with all his funds. And his budget will be coming for approval to submit for the 18-19 next month, because it has to be done by April 1.
Who's that?
The jailer has to have his budget presented to the court
Yeah.
by April 1.
All right, now, looking at next year's budget, we're gonna have to have a new roof put on this building here.
Correct. It's been 25 years and we need it desperately.
Have we got any kind of estimate or anything about what that's gonna cost?
I think they said Terry said he could get somebody to do it for 120, but we've not put it out for bid. We could solicit a bid and see what they were, and we don't have to act on it at this point, but that is something we do, which there is 129,000 out of all these things I've done to just this year's budget still left.
Yeah. All right, what about, we probably need to do some work on this phone system too, don't we, John, because it's not. Yeah.
How much will that be?
We put that up bid like 4 years ago for around 65,000.
Probably say 100,000 for that?
Yeah.
Well, you know, and going into next year's budget, if we have 750 to $1 million, you know, that can come off of those numbers with doing the roof, doing the phone system, which will bring that projected surplus or carry forward money down, but those are things that there's still options to do with at this point in time.
Okay, so overall, we're pretty good with our budget right now.
Correct.
We need to take in consideration that we're going to have $200,000 for a roof and a new phone system.
And if we've got 750 to $1 million more coming at the end of this year, that can be placed into next year's, which will just bring it down to, more like, if it's $1 million, it'd bring it down to 800,000. These are guesstimates on the payroll to make sure that can fluctuate too, if we add people on and stuff like that, and overtime and everything. These are just guesstimates for the first 6 months. That's what we had paid out, and I just doubled it for the next 6 months for 13 more payrolls.
John, I don't know if it's the right time or what, but this roof on this building is going to have to be fixed.
Yep, that's what I was just explaining to him, that if we got a 750 to $1 million going to be carried forward out of this 18-year budget, those are things that can come off. The phone system plus the roof would be 200,000. If we had $1 million, that would leave 800,000 that's not committed to anything going into next year's budget. Oh, I know. We know on the 4th floor because we're having to put stuff over Frankie's computers and stuff to make sure if there's a big rain that he doesn't get everything blown up in his office.
Well, look to me.
Because they're having problems fixing those dormers up there because it gets in and it runs around those dormers seem to be the biggest part of the problems, isn't it, Paul?
Yeah, it's that tile up there where it's all nailed down and it's.
Look to me like if we could buy salt plows and salt trucks, we could get our building fixed out of that money.
That's what we need to do.
Well, what we need to do about it?
We'll file for it. You gotta file for it first, and we hope we can get it.
We gotta get somebody to file it.
No, this would be budgeted money to fix the roof.
That's why he's talking about getting.
I'm talking about using cold severance money.
Ask Sandy.
Huh? If you can buy a salt truck, a salt plow, look like you could fix your roof on your building before it falls in.
Plus, Paul, what can we do to fix the condensation that's happening with the pipes up there? Because that's another problem of our leaks.
There's one valve up there that we're supposed to change when we switch over to cooling. We're going to change that valve out up there. We're just waiting where he's changed 2 valves out a while back, and he said the vent still had air in the line, and that one leak we was having up there. So that one part up there in Pam's office, we should be able to take care of just as soon as everything's switched over.
Okay.
Sandy, do we gotta make a motion to get you to apply for that, or do we gotta get with their legislators and get their approval first? You can do it. Well, I'll make a motion that we go ahead and draw down and use some of that money to fix this building before it falls in. Well, if you got a little more money, fix your phone system, but the roof needs fixed first. Well, I say if you can, but if you can't do the roof first.
And we'll try to get both of them as upgrades and renewals to the project. And we could get those in, if we can get it, we can get that done before June 30th and have that fixed. Frankie can go ahead and start putting out bids for the roof and for a phone system. And we can already have that in place, that if we get approved for it, we can go ahead with it. If not, we'll take it out of our budget.
Hillman, you made a motion to that effect?
Is he gonna include, just amend his motion, include the phone system too?
Yeah.
Okay, second.
Both systems.
Yeah, because I was here one night and called Penny and told her the phones were messing up, and she said she'd check on it Monday. Well, the sheriff's office didn't have a phone system, and they come down here and called Terry in, and they said it was dead. And I said, what do you mean it's dead? How much is that going to cost us? So it's dying.
I believe somebody cut the wires on that, no Phelps, didn't they, Paul?
A rat didn't eat the water, did
I don't know if it's over in the clerk's office. They're supposed to be back over there this morning. Check it out. Out on the pole, everything's all right over there. It's inside the building, I believe, this time.
I bet a rat.
Maybe, I don't know. But they come over yesterday and couldn't get that one off, and they come back this morning and should be able to take care of it.
No, they cut them outside the last time, didn't we, done that?
Yeah, that's what I thought this time, but when we checked it, no, they was all right out on the pole.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second on
But
Yeah,
Paul, I'll
we
be
need-
honest with you,
Roll call.
that system ain't worked right since they changed it over. That old system was the best, we didn't have no trouble.
Lisa, need a roll call.
Magistrate Anderson,
Yes.
Magistrate Compton,
Yes.
Magistrate Murphy.
Yes.
Magistrate Robinson, Magistrate Dodson.
Yes.
Magistrate Varney,
Yes.
Judge Deskin.
Yes.
Well, I can attest that this building's 25 years old because we moved in at the end of October, I believe, of 92, and they had to help me move over because I was expecting my first child so that Magistrate Harris could get into the judge's office before the election, and then in November's when Judge Rutherford come in. So it is 25 years old. And we keep hoping and praying with all the garbage cans and plastic that we don't have a circuit go haywire and burn everything up upstairs.
And while we're at it, the senior citizens need at least four home delivery vans or vehicles or something that could be leased or something. Can we apply for co-severance money for that?
Ask Sandy.
Everything's referred to Sandy. And she just shakes, she smiles, and shakes her head, yes.
I mean, if you could buy a snowplow and spreader, I would think you should be able to do home-delivered meals for senior citizens.
What I think too.
Yeah.
Do we need to do that in the same motion, or do we need to do it separate? Separate?
That's separate.
Just do the vein, just keep the one Hillman did, and then do the one on the seniors?
Make a motion that we
Okay.
apply for co-severance money to purchase or lease for,
If we get co-severance, we might as well purchase.
purchase them.
Yeah.
Okay,
Second.
to purchase them.
Roll call, please.
And go ahead and allow Frankie to go ahead and bid for delivery home meals.
Magistrate Anderson,
Yes.
Magistrate Compton,
Yes.
I'm
Magistrate
sure
Murphy,
Frankie's liking to have all this added to his March bid
Magistrate
list.
Robinson, Magistrate Dodson,
Yes.
Magistrate Varney,
Yes.
Judge Deskin.
Yes.
Okay, anything else on the, we've pretty well covered everything.
Yeah, we're just waiting on the numbers for solid waste to see how well that does.
We're gonna talk about it again.
We can talk about it next court meeting if you want to.
Yes, ma'am, update. Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Hey, John, do we have anything in place where we can replace some more of our solid waste equipment? Can we figure that into our budget? Because we've got 4 supervisor trucks, got 400,000 miles on them. Do we want to replace some of these older mini packers within the next year?
Let me address that at the next court meeting, and let me put some,
Get some numbers.
I think
Numbers
some of these
together and
road
stuff.
lots need some trucks too, don't they, Vi? Don't y'all need one?
We could use one.
I'm talking about for your salt truck.
Yeah, yeah.
I'd say we could use one. I got one tied together with Bellamar over there and got wood jacket out rope the other day. I was afraid he was gonna sling that salt right up.
is that something we would want to see if we could get approved through coal severance, since we've got one for City of Coal Run?
Well, we've not been able to upgrade our road equipment for several years, have we? I mean,
No.
what we bought has been used down at the surplus, and it's
See,
been-
used to,
we've
what we
been
would try
blessed
to.
with it.
Used to, we'd try to do like $1 million or $2 million, and in 4 years have it paid off, but now the interest rates and the length of the truck's life expectancy has changed, so we're looking at, it's 6 and 7 years on financing. And what you should do is have a plan for about 6 years, roll it over and get another in 6 years. It's what we should try to start doing, is to rotate. Because Jeannie, did you say we had like 1.7 million there? And that's not the next deposit in April?
Judge, if I could make a comment, please. I know that all these things that you're asking, you really need, the county really needs, but I would remind you that it's supposed to be used for economic development. And I know we have to provide these services. We all need them and want them. I'm a Pike Countyan too. But I would remind you, I will take the request that you give me and ask. But I would remind you that it's supposed to be used for economic development.
Sandy, I think that's what we said in the last court meeting when we brought the salt truck and the plow up.
Like I said, I'll ask for whatever you
But I
direct
mean,
me to
though,
do. I
that-
just want to remind you of that.
What I'm saying is, if it's good for one place, it ought to be good for our county to use.
My job to remind you.
Well, you know, I want to remind you too, they bend the rules when they want to.
She's just the middle person. She
I
I'll
know
bring
that.
it back to you.
I know that, but when they need something, they change the rules on the playing field.
Again, my job to remind you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sandy.
Don't get her in
Thank
trouble.
you, Sandy, for all
Don't shoot
your
the
help.
messenger.
And awarding the bids, awarding of the bids.
Go on to bids.
Thank you, Sandy.
Go on to bids, Bill. Go on to bids. Stacy.
Oh. Yeah.
Do you need any more information?
Frankie, awarding the bids.
Okay.
Judge, I've got one bid to present to the court. It's the second bid for 2018. It's for the Belfry Volunteer Fire Department, Station Number 3 over at Hardy Park. We received two bids. The first bid was from Customer Glass and Carpet of Belfry. Total bid price $89,400 even.
It just sort of is like a
Construction,
roller
7
coaster.
days.
It's everything, limestone,
Second bid was
glass,
from Steve
mineral.
Thacker Construction of Pikeville. Total bid price
Because look.
$101,500. Construction within 90 days.
In that 14-15 year, we got
It was recommended to award the bid to the lowest
5,917,000
bidder,
between the two.
Customer
And
Glass
look
and
where
Carpet,
we're at right now. We've got
having the lowest
2.4
evaluated bid price of $89,400. And this
I think
is,
that's what it is.
this is one of those
But I'm
coal
gonna have
severance
to adjust
projects,
this number
I think it's
down, and
House
I'll
Bill
try and adjust this
303, that
number
we
up
kinda
next
need to
time.
get
And I'll try and adjust.
done
I can
before
adjust
June
it.
30th, like others. So,
Was, in this bid, were we doing any of the work at all, Paul, on that, the foundation or something?
Yeah, 'cause I don't know where they
I was wanting to do just a little bit of work on the side up there,
been over.
Get, site preparation.
site
Okay.
preparation on,
All right,
About 2.5 or
Yeah.
6 on it. I
Okay.
think the last 2 years it was
yeah.
there.
I make a motion, then we accept that bid.
700, I'm around about 500. So I
Roll
think
call,
that'll be
please.
next year.
Who's second?
Hill.
Magistrate Anderson?
Yes.
Magistrate Compton?
Yes.
Magistrate Murphy?
Yes.
Magistrate Robinson? Magistrate Dotson?
Yes.
Magistrate Varney?
Yes.
Judge Stacy?
Yes.
Promise we'll go backwards.
All right. Magistrate road work.
Motion.
Those are the
Second.
numbers we
Roll call, please.
Magistrate Anderson?
Yes.
Magistrate Compton?
Yes.
Magistrate Murphy?
Yes.
Magistrate Robinson? Magistrate Dotson?
Yes.
Magistrate Varney?
Yes.
Judge Stacy?
Yes. Magistrate's comments, Anderson?
Judge, I got just, we got a drain. I think we took a piece of equipment and messed up a drain. I got some pictures here to give Jackie there if you'd go over on Hurricane Creek.
Can you believe we
I
went
think the Mac Atkins,
2.8 less than
actually, he's here in the,
176?
back in the back. Maybe we get up, go over there. I might be, are you free this afternoon, Jackie, by any chance? Or next day or so?
County judge.
Is that the drain where truck backed on?
I think an excavator, maybe.
Legislation don't do nothing in
We had one truck, Aki told me it turned and mashed a drain.
Friday.
And Aki, and
That's gonna keep.
we was gonna go up there yesterday, if they was tied up in the other area dealing with a bad drain. So we was gonna go today after this court meeting. If
Okay.
this is the same one. This is down Brush U, I think.
No, it's a different one. This is over on Hurricane Creek.
Hurricane Creek, different one.
That's all I have, Judge.
Double the work.
Compton, you have any?
I have no comments at this time, Judge. Thank you.
I was just gonna mention, the road that fell in on 1499 below Feds Creek. It's in terrible shape, and the state says indefinitely, and it's a real burden on the workers of traveling, and the kids are getting to school to Eastridge. It's gonna take them about 2 hours to get to school and stuff like that. We just hope and pray that they can figure out how to fix it soon, but it's in terrible shape right now. It's still moving, they said.
That's what you said.
It's all the way across the road and everything is still moving, they said. But we just hope and pray that they can get it done soon on account of the kids and the workers.
Junior. He always says he's
No, okay. Hillman?
Laura Johnson.
Judge, I'd like to say that due to all the flooding and things we've had in the last few days, we're really blessed that it quit raining when it did, because a lot of people was getting close to their houses, and these roads, we can fix them back, but people lose their homes and things. It's tough. And I'd like to thank Bobby for sending one of his trucks over. We had a road that went into the river, sort of like you got over at Feds Creek, Leo, or steel and guardrail all just went right down into the river. And we were fortunate to find rock and haul in and repair it and get it fixed and recover what steel that went over the hill we saved and got hit. But I just want to say that we've got a fantastic crew out there working, trying to get people in and out. They're out there several hours of the day and night. And also, I'd like to say that Bobby, last week when we were in Frankfurt, we met with the road commissioner down there. Me and Jackie Darrell did. And Frankie, he said if we could negotiate with the lowest bidder to get that price down to where we could do that, that it was okay with the state and it was legal to do that. So on the Blackberry Bridge, it came in over budget. So Jackie's gonna call them and talk to them and see if they'll let us do some of the work in-house to get the, I think it was $300 and some thousand amount down to where we could afford to do it. And we were able to pick up some literature down there, Frankie, where they have a salt auction in May. And I don't know if you've ever participated with them online or not. I don't know how they work, but Keiko is sponsoring this thing. And here's a paper on it, and I'll give it to you. You got one? Okay, but anyway, have you ever dealt with these people on this and found out how it works?
We tried it one year. The problem that we had that year was they lock you into a minimum order. The last couple of years, we've been bidding salt, deliver as needed. That way, I don't know if you remember or not, but about 3 or 4 years ago, we had like a contract for 2,500 ton.
We had to buy.
It was a real mild winter, and then we ended up piling salt out the front doors of all the salt bins, trying to stockpile it somewhere, because we had to buy 80% of that contract. For the last couple of years, we've been bidding it ourselves, deliver as needed. Now, I don't know, since the first time that we bid with this reverse auction, that at that point in time, it was you give them an estimated quantity, and you still had to guarantee 80% of that contract when you put it there. So, but I mean, I don't know if the prices come in better than if you just do a sealed bid. I couldn't tell much difference from the year that we did it before to then. I could try it. We normally bid road salt in March. The problem gets to be if you wait till May and June and then you try this reverse auction, and then you don't award that bid, then all the contracts are filled because they try to get them locked in before summer. So then if you try to bid it again, if if you try to bid it again in the fall, if there's some kind of problem with supply or whatever, that was the one year we tried a fall bid after we didn't award this CAECO bid. That was the year that Katrina messed up the barge traffic on the Mississippi. And we ended up paying to haul salt from Baltimore. We were paying almost $200 a ton for it. So it's, I mean, the last couple of years, we've been bidding in March, getting our contract in, actually even before the Transportation Cabinet gets their bid in. Bidding it delivered as needed. And, I mean, we've, the last couple of years, it's only went up $1 or $2 each year, so it's not been too bad.
What, we paying $94?
I think that sounds about right.
I know we ordered salt probably 3-4 weeks ago. We got 2 loads. And I don't know if we're gonna get any more or not, but if the weather stays the way it is, we probably won't need no more. But, you know, if they're not gonna deliver it when they're called and told, you know, it's a problem somewhere.
I mean, it's about 7 to 10 days to get it ordered. I don't know when the order was placed compared to when they actually delivered it, because I never placed the order.
What's it been, Jack, about 3-4 weeks?
I'd say roughly that. And I've talked to them personally, tried to, you know, get that speeded up, and they said they would, but they had the wrong address for the Phelps lot. They had us down at the old lot, and I got that address corrected. But I sent and got, some of the boys went to the state over at their salt depot and got several loads from them on our deal we had as a
I'll
precaution.
do whatever you want to do. I just don't want you to come out this, if you don't, if the reverse auction doesn't work for you, you know what I mean? Because it's kind of like whatever those prices are at the end of the bid, you know, if those salt companies don't compete back and forth like they're supposed to. I mean, I know you're not committed to buy it at that price, but at that point in time, you're already past you're already like at the end of June, at the end of May, trying to bid. Everybody else has already got their contracts locked.
I know this is something CAECO gave us down there, and they're, you know, the place we take our trucks down at J.M. Wood, then they're on here too, so you can buy equipment or what else that you might need. It's a surplus auction. And not only salt, you know, it's everything else. Like Bobby was talking, he needs some equipment, you know, they might have something there that you can find.
We could try it. I mean, we could try it again to see if it'll start beating the prices that we've had locked in for the last year or two.
Well, you know, if we get it for $75 a ton versus 94, it'd be a big savings.
But like I said, it would have to be, I'd have to go check with CAECO to make sure it's delivered as needed, that they don't lock you into that 80% minimum on that contract, because we got into a big trouble on that a couple years ago.
And the salt barn I've got over there, you could store a lot in it.
Well, I know at that point in time, at the end of that year, we had to stockpile probably 700 ton of salt, and I know every bin that I knew of was full.
Well, we might not have had our garage built at that time, I don't know. Huh? But now,
I don't think you did.
so now, you know, we can put quite a bit of salt in there if we have to. If somebody else needs the place.
Whether you need it or not, you still gotta buy it.
Oh, it's like that now, ain't it?
No, you just, we estimate 2,600 ton for the year, and they guarantee you 2,600 tons. Once that contract's filled, they don't guarantee you anymore. But if you only use 1,000 ton, you don't have to buy the difference, 1,600 or 80% of that.
And Judge, tomorrow at 12 o'clock, we're gonna do a little dedication on a railroad crossing over there that Judge Rutherford won a national award for back when he was in rerouting the road in Elk Creek, taking it out of the railroad tunnel and making a railroad crossing out of it. and we're gonna name the crossing after one of the residents, a little girl that lived up in there that was born with a crippling disease, and she never walked a day in her life, but she was able to go and finish high school and college, and now she's deceased, and they was wanting to know if we'd put a crossing name up there in her honor. So tomorrow at 12 at Elk Creek. But that's all I have.
Martin Marty?
Yes, sir, Judge. You know, with the rain and stuff we had, I tell you what, over in my area, we were real lucky that we missed a bullet there. It came awful close, and it has done some damage to some drains, some bridges and stuff that's just now showing up, Judge. We're working on they worked all day on a bridge yesterday, and they were working on another place today and we've got in Pond Creek, all that trash and stuff came down there just in behind Belfry High School and it's dammed up, and I don't know what we're going to do. They called and asked me, and I don't know what we're going to do there. But we're going to have to get some help probably to get that out of there, because that's going to cause a major problem if we have any more high water. Because it's just about got the creek, Pond Creek itself, blocked off right there. And it's trash. It's some old trees. You know, it's a multiple of things that's got that. So I don't know. I'm reaching out. I called a couple of state agencies and stuff and see if we could get any help. And they said, well, wait to this or wait to that. So we're waiting to see right now. Might be able to. We might. Yeah. That might be a thing. And
Judge, I was telling Bobby that we've got that little small dozer over there, Paul, that we use to work on our trails, and it's got a winch on it. Man, might be able to back it down in there and put it around some of that stuff and pull it up out of there.
you're going to have some scuba divers.
You got a big tree that's uprooted and got it all blocked. It'd probably take a 100-foot rope. If we had a 100-foot rope, we'd probably take an excavator or anything and pull it back up. But it's about a 50-foot drop down to the creek over there.
It's just getting access to it really right now. It's all private property
that's the
through
problem.
there.
Access down in it. What's the problem?
It's going to be a problem.
If we get the tree up, most of it would go on out. You know, if we
Yeah. And we had a little problem last Sunday with the high water and stuff at Church House Holler, that a guy had put some drains in and didn't have a permit for them, Jackie Darrell. We had to take him out because it was washing our road out. We had to take one of those drains out. We got hit, but I had some dedicated men that came out on a Sunday morning and done that work. You know, it's and you've talked about this before. That's a problem that we continue to have about people putting these drains in these little small hollers, and they're not big enough. You know, so that is a problem. The senior citizens, my senior citizen center over there, our cook at the senior citizen at Belfry, she had a house fire and lost everything she had. Just the clothes on her back's what she got. And I think Diane graciously yesterday came over with some money, and I think she took her to Walmart and she bought some clothes and stuff, I understand. But any kind of donations or anything that we could get for that lady would be greatly appreciated. She does a great job for us over there, and I just love all those people that work in our senior citizen center. Our director, Susie, does a tremendous job, and the ladies, the seniors is there, and the gentlemen too. But they're just great people to work with. But I wanted to pass that on to everybody. The other thing is our Pride organization and the litter pickup and stuff, and with this recent rain, in ditch lines, it's easy to find that litter on ditch line now because it's probably on the side of the road. So, you know, we keep on picking them up. I seen Jimmy Dale a while ago, glad to see him and out and about, and he said his wife was doing better, so that's real good news. But we're going to keep on working on that, picking up that litter and stuff. You know, and it's a shame that we have to keep on doing it, but we're gonna keep on doing that. That's all I have, Judge. Thank you.
Bobby, I was gonna tell you on the only bad thing about cleaning up these riverbeds, you can't tell where the trash is. Dad always told me that you can tell when the river's rising because the trash is going down the middle. There's no trash out there this time, I noticed. All the trash is actually above the dam now. There's hardly any below. It's really amazing what's happened over the last 20 years.
Yeah.
All right. Treasurer's business, Jonda.
It's okay. Authorize any necessary transfers and intra-fund transfers to pay the bills, payroll, health, and life insurance.
Motion.
Roll call, please.
Magistrate Anderson?
Yes.
Magistrate Compton?
Yes.
Magistrate Murphy?
Yes.
Magistrate Robinson? Magistrate Dotson?
Yes.
Magistrate Varney?
Yes.
Judge Fiscal?
Yes.
Authorize the payment of expenditure approval list dated February 19th, 2018, and any other utility and telephone bills received before the checks are run. Plus, we need to add J&M Monitoring Incorporated, $950 for the removal of linoleum asbestos flooring at 436 Upper Pompey on behalf of Jimmy Kaiser with his grants that he has.
I need a motion.
Motion.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Magistrate Anderson?
Yes.
Magistrate Compton?
Yes.
Magistrate Murphy?
Yes.
Magistrate Robinson? Magistrate Dotson?
Yes.
Magistrate Varney?
Yes.
Judge Fiscal?
Yes.
Acknowledge receipt of the sheriff's 2550 report for January 2018. I don't see that the clerk has passed anything out. Has anybody received anything?
No.
Okay, so this is just for the sheriffs. And I want to note that the sheriff with his commissions that have been posted now and the supplement from the county, his beginning balance at the end of December for January 1 he was in the red, $465,710.07. He has deposited $619,611.66. So at the end of January, he is in the black of $153,901.59. I'd like to commend the sheriff on keeping his budget in check and staying with his funds that he has.
Good job.
Motion, please.
Motion to acknowledge receipt of the sheriff's account.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Magistrate Anderson?
Yes.
Magistrate Compton?
Yes.
Magistrate Murphy?
Yes.
Magistrate Robinson? Magistrate Dotson?
Yes.
Magistrate Varney?
Yes.
Judge Fiscal?
Yes.
I have no further business, Judge.
All right. Okay,
Amy says she's not in the office.
we need to go into executive session. Bobby, will you read KRS?
Judge, before we do that, can we take our people that wants to talk on public comments before we go back there, and they won't have to stay out here so long waiting, and they might have things they might want to do. Sometimes it takes a while. Would that be all right with you and the court?
State inmates for the Class Bs and Class Cs, what the percentage is. I've got it upstairs. I can't
Do
remember off
public
the top of my head. There's so much
comment
for
before.
medical, there's so much for the inmate.
You need a motion or anything?
Okay, I'll give you.
I don't think so. It's
on there, just change the
it's
order.
on there. You just changing
Public comments for.
it around.
Oh, yes, that'd be fine.
You've got the list.
Yep, wait a minute here.
Here's the list.
I can't find it.
Here's the list. The first one's Blake Walker.
Blake Walker? I had them on. Anyway, I got him.
I got 2 or 3 things this week, and you've ever seemed to have a terrible dilemma here trying to spend that coal severance tax money. And I've been told several times here in this court that that bridge at Walker's Branch should have been built with coal severance tax money years ago. And I agree, it should have. But can we take that coal severance tax money and build a bridge at Walker's Branch? I mean, economical development to me is better in the community. And that would definitely be better in the community.
Blake, I tried that a few meetings ago and asked him to maybe help with, I've got a bridge over on Blackberry.
Sounds like me and you're both in the same boat.
Mine's
We
about,
need a bridge and can't get one.
about 323,000. And my road budget just went,
Nothing again you, but I guess the best man wins.
do what?
I said nothing personal again you, but I guess the best man wins.
Well, you know, I'm not winning. I just letting you know that I think that we should be able to use that money
Well,
for
I mean,
roads and.
Blake, I agree with you.
Baskins has said many a time that the bridge should have been built years ago with coal severance tax money. What's the difference in years ago and today?
Blake, I don't, since it's in my district, maybe I can shed some light on it. I think the biggest problem, and I did go over there and try to track down your sister probably 6 weeks ago or so, 5, 6 weeks ago. But if we can resolve that issue with her, I don't think it'd be a problem at all.
Well,
Yeah, I don't think, I don't think Hillman had anybody threatening him to build a bridge.
I mean, it's been mentioned in this court many a time, the way you're
Yes.
gonna get it. You know the way you're gonna get it. I know the way you're gonna get it.
Well,
But the people over in Walker's Branch shouldn't suffer the way that we have now.
I agree with you 100%. I mean, believe it or not, I'm on your side, and I wish I could go over there and your sister would say, look, I agree with you all, this needs to be done, I'm not gonna fight it or whatever. But if you're gonna be around after the meeting or after we come, or before we go in executive session, I've got something I could share with you.
As long as I'm out of here by 2 o'clock.
Okay, it won't take me 5 minutes, and
Okay.
it might be, I think it's some good news.
All right, now that brings me to my next thing. One family moved out, another family moved in. And don't
See, buddy.
know what his business is, but I'll guarantee you it's not selling milk and eggs. But he has 15, 20 people up in there every day. They're getting out in my hayfield, driving up through it. The grass seed that hayfield is sowed in is $30 a pound. I have no intentions of paying $300 or $400 for grass seed to reseed where they run up through there this spring. Now, I told him I didn't want him or nothing that he is associated with on my property. And he told the boy that lives over at the farmhouse the other day, he come back in and that boy told him that he was trespassing, he didn't need to be on our land. And this is what really gets me. He said he come and talked to the county officials, and they reared back and laughed real loud and said for him to walk anywhere he wanted to in Walker's Branch. That ain't gonna work. I don't know who he talked to, who has got permission to give him a right to trespass on our land.
I wouldn't think anybody would.
Well, the next time I see him, I'm gonna ask him who he talked to. But he's walking around the hill and stuff. He's walking down through my hayfield when the creek is up, and it's not my responsibility to give him a road out of there. It's a county road. It's county business. And you're the county attorney, or?
I'm the assistant county attorney.
Okay. What is my legal rights?
I'm not allowed to give legal advice on civil matters to individuals. I would have to refer you to a private attorney.
Okay. They've got to be something done.
Well, I understand, but we just went over this training in Lexington last week. If I give you legal advice, that means I'm your attorney. I can't do that, okay? Here in the fiscal court meeting, I definitely can't do that. All I can do is advise you that there are plenty of fine attorneys here in town. I can probably, I came in the middle of your
presentation.
Yeah.
So I don't know all of the facts, but if you'd like to stay after, I could maybe point you toward an attorney that I know does that kind of work, but that's about all I'm allowed to do.
Well, I can find an attorney, but, you know, I'm not gonna sit back and let people walk over me like they're trying to do.
I understand.
And, you know, this is a county road. He needs to stay in the county road. And if the creek's up, he can do like the rest of them. He can stay over in there. And that's the reason I'm fighting so hard for a bridge. There was a guy supposedly going to work on his satellite, 11:30 at night, out driving around my hayfield. Now, there's one or two problems right there. That is the most dedicated repairman that I have ever seen in my life, or he's for another reason. And I ain't seen a satellite repairman or a TV repairman one that'll come out 11:30 at night and work on your television or your satellite.
I bet he's hunting for a big deer.
I'd be looking for the Easter Bunny.
Deer season's not in and there's no hunting, so he's still trespassing. And I mean, you know, I got a right to protect my property, and there has to be something done. Now, and I think the road over in there is pretty much been established that it's what's traveled for the time being, because that's what my sister says, is what's traveled is what the county's got. If things don't change, I'm going to plow a ditch just as close to the county road as what I can plow it to keep them out of my hayfield. I mean, you know, I've been polite about it, and I've told him to tell his customers when they call to stay out of the hayfield. And if they don't do it, then I've got to do what I got to do to protect my property. And Jeff, I ain't been here in 2 or 3 months, didn't get to come, but you said you was going to put in the budget for next year for a bridge at Walker's Branch. Is that still on?
Well, that might not be necessary, and I'll explain that to you when I talk to you.
All righty then, thank you. I'll wait on you.
Willard Sloan,
Yeah, I'll come back and talk to you.
Willard Sloan. All right, Mike May.
Well, I get to say good morning today since we get to talk before you go into executive session. Got a question here. I mean, maybe y'all can educate me if I'm wrong, but 3 motions that wasn't on the agenda, and there's great things, but is that okay that y'all voted on?
What were they?
It's a regular meeting. You can take up any action during a regular meeting.
Okay, you answered my question then. But it was important stuff on the coast.
Meetings you can't go off of it.
Gotcha, thank you, Bobby. I'm surprised that.
Would you like to respond to that, Assistant County Attorney?
Is there something else I need to say? I think you already said it.
Well, I didn't want to overstep.
Well, that usually don't stop you.
What kind of motions was it, Mike?
He wasn't here at the time it took place.
On the coal severance and the stuff, good. Hey, I agree with you. The coal severance, I think, hey, it's like pick and choose. Yeah, I think the county needs to apply for them, but from what I have seen, depending on who defines it, it's or who applies for it and for what project, but it seems like it covers everything according to most of your legislators and so forth. So I do think you need to. I think you'll agree with me, won't you, Hillman?
Well, you know, I'd like to have a few of them go over in our district, but if we can get them, it'd be fine. But I guess according to the way the rules is now, you got to get all legislators to agree to use that money on that project. And
Right, and
it's a little
like-
bit different what it used to be, and they've changed the rules several times, and Sandy is trying to get us some grants and some, use of that money. You know, it has to go through their agreement, and, we'll just keep trying.
Well, my point, Hillman, is how they define economic development at their choosing. It either should be one way or another, but to what, again, I will repeat, what I see out of it is they can use it for anything if they so desire. So let me move on. I've got some stuff here. One thing, I'm very surprised that we didn't hear nothing in the budget talks about our county attorney. What was in the paper today, here a few days ago, he's requested for y'all to do away with his funding. And, you know, I figured that would be a big plus here. And I know here a few months ago, I had even suggested that y'all quit paying him. And that is, really, he sort of beat y'all to the draw, because that is y'all's determination of whether you pay the county attorney's office, the way I understand it. But is this a surprise? I figured that would be a biggie on the budget thing, because supposedly he's going to help with occupational tax and the property tax and so on. I'm paraphrasing. One thing I will strongly agree with, he said you'll continue getting the same services out of his office that you always have. I'm inclined to believe that. But was there a reason that wasn't talked about? Or am I the only one that did? I must have dreamed that article in the paper, maybe.
My understanding was that we were probably going to take that up in executive session.
Wow.
For specific personnel.
Mike, what it comes down to is any discussion of county personnel has to be done in executive session. It cannot be done in open court. So even though Mr. Hall may have said do away with the county funding, if it applies to an employee of the county, we can't discuss it out here. It has to be discussed back in executive session.
Okay, I feel the public needs to know, but if that's if you're under the things, Mr. Deskey.
I'll put it to you this way. If you were a county employee, would you want us discussing your business out here or back in executive session? I mean, that's what the law is there to protect, the individual's privacy.
Well, now, who are you talking about, the employee, Keith?
If I mention the employee
Well,
by
I mean, he
name,
brought
that
it, but
violates-
anyway, let's go on. Okay, I've got that. Maybe y'all talk about it when you come back out then. Or have something, I mean, you know, hey, a feller, I mean, you know, that comes up and, was anybody aware of the article in the paper? I'd ask that.
Mike, I got a letter, I guess, on the same thing you're talking about. So we'll address that in executive session. You know, it's
Okay,
like our county attorney said there, it's a personnel matter, and we are not allowed at liberty to discuss it out in public until we go back there.
Okay, I understand. You know, the flooding and the comments from Magistrate Varney, one of the things I think would help a whole lot with these rains is if we kept the drains and ditches that we got maintained. I think would eliminate a whole lot of the problems we have out there. I go with Jeff. Was you at the Pike TV board meeting here last week?
I was unable to attend.
Okay, I was there. I was the boards that you have out here and the members, not just that one, but do y'all receive compensation for being a member of these boards?
No, I don't.
Is there anyone here?
You talking about all boards or just?
Are there any magistrates that is appointed to a board that receives a monthly compensation for that?
No, nothing.
I'm not. Which I don't believe I'm on no board. They took me off of my.
Okay. I'm going to go with, Well, some of the things one of the things that was brought up here, with Mr. Maynard, Justin there, I was asked earlier this week what his duties was, and I think he's a man of many hats, and I don't know if his priorities is hatchet man or bean counter and plus PR man, a combination of several things. And I just want to comment briefly on the workers' compensation and the light duty thing. I'm sure you'll get your turn, Justin. It sounds good, and if that light duty, and it was said, even Justin had said there are many jobs available under light duty. Well, perhaps if there are that many, maybe they should be filled, and maybe we could get a little more done. But with that being said, and also Mr. Williamson here last meeting had even referred to the making of a sign, I think, of the railroad crossing over at Burke or what you call Elk Creek.
Been about 2 or 3 years trying to get the sign
Okay,
made.
but that it was someone was under light duty, and that was part of the reason of a delay. So let me move on. At what cost? What potential cost of the way I understood it, 1 day per quarter per person on the deal of the not reporting injuries or compensation or whatever. At what cost do you see that coming to the county?
Are you talking to me or just
I'll
or
talk
the court?
to anybody that wants to answer that question.
Cost as far as what, Mike?
Yeah, what do you consider the cost, the potential cost of, if it happened to 4 days off per year per employee? Let me go on. I see I'm not going to get no response. I tell you what, y'all.
I don't care.
Really.
I don't understand what your question is.
I don't either, Mike. Are you talking about how much it would cost the county if they were on light duty or off light duty?
No, I moved on from light duty. I'm sorry.
Are you asking the cost comparison between giving an employee a day off versus the savings on the comp?
No, I'm asking what would be the cost of potentially giving 4 days to an employee? Well, let me move on and give you what.
That's not calculable because of the fact you don't know what department or anything.
Potential, and
so many different levels of pay and everything of what the cost could be.
Okay, but it would come at a cost. Would you agree with that?
Probably not, because the benefit would outweigh that for the
Well, how can you
decrease in the
figure that
workers'
in?
comp.
Because that's, potentially, and, I know, but it is done to try to get the employee not to file compensation, which and I know there's a disclaimer on that, no, that is not the reason, but you also will pit employees against each other. If somebody I've been down this road, and it will be, well, if it weren't for you, we'd have got this or that. But anyway, let me give you sort of my opinion of the cost. Per department, it was mentioned, and now it was 225. You can times that by 3 or whatever. But for 4 days off per employee for a department with 70 employees is going to come to like 2,200 and some man hours. Now, you can say it's in the budget, this guy's going to get paid anyway, you're budgeted, but still it's going to cost the productivity. And we hear that you're working shorthanded all the time anyway. But, and my point that I'm going to get at, and even when Judge Desmond was asked last time, he said, it sounds good. And really my point is being that instead of jumping on top of this, you should have researched a little bit more, and pardon me, Justin, but it's like you're spoon feeding them this stuff, and they're saying, yeah, it does sound good, and it may be good, but I think you should get other experts or something to figure the other deal before you jump in and do that. And that would be my point on that.
Hey, Mike, I'll address some of that for you right now.
Okay.
Okay, you talk about productivity. and the man hours, which is more productive, to give that employee a day off or to have that employee get injured, take workers' comp, have to hire a temporary employee, train that employee to fill in for his job who may not have a job when he comes back. So which ones, that's how you weigh the productivity of what you're doing.
Well, Justin, I think you're weighing one thing against something else. You can't predict that. For one thing, if that would stop somebody, I mean, my experience, most of us that are out here working for a living are not intentionally wanting to be injured. So, you know, if you're saying yes, if that would absolutely cure all safety problems and keep people from getting injured, I'd say yes, okay, you would be correct. But you don't know that. I mean, you're still going to have, just because you reward somebody don't mean that, and you know, and I for one, my reward would be not getting injured.
Mike, if there was one simple solution to fix every safety issue, I would be more than happy to do that, but there is not. And you're never going to fix everything. I mean, people are still going to get injured. That's just the nature of working. I mean, my dad's one of the safest men I've ever met.
Oh, okay.
And he got his hand crushed. So, I mean,
It is going to happen. That's what I'm trying to say here.
The focus of this whole thing is to make the employees think, am I being safe when I do this? Because it's easy to go out there and just do something and not think. How many electricians do you know have been electrocuted because they knew their job, but they made a mistake when they went up there and they didn't do the safe thing? I mean, it happens to everybody, and that's what we're trying to prevent here. We're trying to prevent that and stay productive. That's what this is all about. It's not about punishing or rewarding per se, but if you have coal mines that have done this very same thing and has been efficient at it and it works there, why would we not do that here?
Well, if it would work, Justin, and again, if that employee, and use your example as an electrician, if that employee did stop and say, well, I better rethink this. I mean, I might get a day off here in the next quarter or whatever, compared to, oh, goodness, I might die, or that electricity might shoot through my limbs and I'd be crippled for the rest of my life. I mean, you know, it's again, the talk is good. But you know, studies and whatnot, and yes, safety should be priority. But this does not, you know, it does come as a cost to the county, because if you, probably average $30,000 for an employee or whatnot on their salary, not to mention the loss of productivity, even though you're paying that man a day. I don't think we should be paying people to do nothing.
But Mike, you know, a lot of our employees like the opportunity they can come back and work instead of have to stay home.
Yeah.
And, you know, I can remember one instance when I ran a road grader back 25 years ago. I got my foot
Pike,
damaged real bad.
Due to regulations, your 10 minutes has been up quite a bit.
I knew that was coming.
And you know, Mike, if I'd been able to come back and done a light duty job, I would.
Can I stand here and listen to Hillman?
I took up some of your time, but not all of it.
Well, no, but I will sit down, and that, you know, I have come here, and I was expecting that anytime you talk something that the people don't seem to, or the court here. So very shortly here, I have a thing that I had wrote back, some time ago. I'd even planned on sending it to the paper, and this will take just a little bit. It's DARVO, D-A-R-V-O. Are y'all familiar, any of you, for that? Well, I'll go on. But DARVO refers to a reaction that people display in response to being held accountable for their actions. DARVO is a reaction the Pike County Fiscal Court have when someone is attempting to hold them accountable.
They will attack the person's credibility. They will vilify the person. They threaten, they bully, try to make a nightmare for anyone who holds them accountable or questions what actions they have or have not taken. This attack is intended to chill and terrify that person. In my opinion, they are I can't read my own writing. They are intended to chill. Okay, in my opinion, they are indignant, self-righteous, overstate their accusations. The attack will often focus on ridiculing the person attempting to hold them accountable. They focus the person that is trying to hold them accountable, and they will focus on using an argumentative strategy where they attack the character, motive, or other attribute of the person making a comment or questioning or whatever, rather than sticking to the substance and subject at hand. And with that being said, and that is from whatever people's, where their vehicle is licensed at and other things. Thank you.
All right. Bobby, KRS 14.
Yes, sir. Judge, I make a motion that we go into executive session in accordance with KRS 61.810, paragraph C, discuss pending or proposed litigation, and paragraph F, discuss specific personnel matters. That is a motion.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Sorry. Magistrate Anderson? Where'd it go? Magistrate Compton?
Yes.
Magistrate Murphy?
Yes.
Magistrate Robinson? Magistrate Dodson?
Yes.
Magistrate Varney? Judge?
Yes.
Judge Davis? I'm sorry.
Court will be in recess for a few minutes. All right. The court meeting will resume. Personnel has the following recommendations.
Gentlemen, following recommendations are up for approval. It is approval to amend court order from January 23rd to state approval to hire Lester Stanley as a part-time mower instead of a seasonal mower. That should be effective 2/1/18. Approval to terminate Willie Burke effective 2/14/18. Approval to hire Adam Runyon as floatman at the landfill at a 3H rate of pay. Approval to accept Randy Chapman's resignation. Approval to place Isaac Sanders in his original position as heavy equipment operator at a 5H rate of pay plus longevity at Road Lot 1. Approval to hire Plenty May in as temporary road foreman at Road Lot 1 at a 4A rate of pay plus longevity. That's all I have.
All right. These are my recommendations and my motion. I need a second.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Magistrate Anderson?
Yes.
Magistrate Compton?
Yes.
Magistrate Murphy?
Yes.
Magistrate Robinson? Magistrate Dodson?
Yes.
Magistrate Varney?
Yes.
Judge Davis?
Yes. All right. Commissioners and directors, what, you got something?
No, I just,
Commissioners and directors' comments. Jackie Darrell?
Yeah, I got a few here. I just wanted to compliment the men on Sunday when we had that heavy rain. Everybody I called came out and got things took care of. And up on Summer Road, I wanted to mention on where the bridge and debris got over a bridge up there, the water got over it. And there's an Allen boy up there, Glenn Allen, that moved up there just recently. And he used his little piece of equipment where we was tied up in other places and cleaned the bridge off mostly for us where traffic get by. And I went up there with one of Hillman's trucks and the blade and cleaned it off, but he'd done a pretty good job on it prior. And that truck is right, him. That truck is rusted bad on that back end there at Dodge that I was using for a couple of days.
Didn't tire it up, did you?
Where my truck was broke down.
I say you didn't tire it up, did you?
No, it's still there in one piece.
Oh, okay.
But, so I want to give Darty thanks for up there moving. Jack Cunningham had passed away, my old teacher, and moving that bottom. And we got a lot of, as Bobby spoke of the debris he had on his area over at the school. we got the same thing there in several areas, and one is a summer bridge there. There's a bunch of big giant trees there under the bridge, and but there's you know, you can loosen that bridge up, but you got a bunch of plastic bottles that's come down, I would assume now Virginia, and a bunch of pop bottles, milk jugs that which I'd had Jenny contact NRCSC, see if they had any way they could help us on that, but we need to not let that debris go on down the river and cause problems somewhere else.
It's gotta go somewhere, it can't stay
We'd
there.
like to clean it up and get rid of it. I've suggested to Brian maybe he'd use some of the jail boys and we use a truck and get down there and throw in plastic bottles out there if we could and get rid of that.
Jack, I thought maybe when the water goes down a little more, we'd take that chain and our excavator or something and just pull that stuff out of the way like we did before. But we gotta get down there in the creek after the water goes down and be able to do it.
As I've told the men on the bridges, some people want us to get on them bridges and water on them. I don't, nobody to get hurt or lose their life. That's the most important thing. And then the water does go down, you can deal with it. And it's almost down somewhat. You can work on it now. But I don't like me and Bobby is on the same frame. I don't want that garbage, plastic bottles to go down on somebody else and can cause problems for the animals and for other people. So if we can deal with it and help out some way to get that out of there that those other people's put on us, it wasn't us that done that, because it's too much there. It had to be off Virginia dealing with the summer bridge deal.
Jackie, Darrell, let's talk about the NRCS. If I did call and make a formal request for them to come and look at what we have, so you're supposed to be getting a list together, but you cannot do any of the work before they come, and you can't do any of the work until they approve it. If you do, you won't.
That's understandable. Yeah, we discussed that.
Okay.
But it's always good to have a backup plan if that don't work, because they haven't got no money, I've been told, unless it's declared a disaster. If we had some damage, but it wasn't as bad as it could have been, but the rest of the state had a lot, and so we can piggyback on the rest of the state and maybe get some help. On your deal on the drain there, that was the drain I was talking about we backed on, and they wanted me to go up there and look at it, and so I was going yesterday, but they was tied up on another job. But this, I text Ike after you give me these things there, and this is the drain we were talking about at the truck of ours had backed over, so it looked like a situation we must address. So that's all I got to say. I want to compliment all the men for coming out and being out there on a Sunday day and getting things took care of. Take care.
Paul?
Judge, I just want to thank my men also. We've manned the pumping station down South Wilmington 24 hours on Sunday and Sunday night to keep the water out of South Wilmington out there. And Hillman and the overlook ramp over at the pawpaw tree, through the flood, it washed it out. It's still there, but it's gone now. I mean, no, over at the pawpaw tree, overlooked the river on it. But it's way down there. We got to dig it out, but I don't know what we're gonna do with it. We might. It undercut the concrete, the 4x4s, and it just undercut everything. You know, it just sit down. Yeah. We'll rope it off, and like I said, we'll try to cut it. Maybe get the inmate stuff over there to help us carry it back on the bank, and we decide what we're gonna do with it. You know, unless there's disaster money to help us with that right there, we'll do what Jenny said, not touch nothing until we.
One other thing I got to compliment the court on is the snow plows. We call them snow plows, but I was with JB and we went down River Road where we lost that road there, part of it. And going down through there, in some places the mud was 2 foot deep. And we used that blade to clear the road off where several families couldn't get out. And that snow blade become a mud blade and really come in handy.
911?
Yeah, I'd just like to, for sending one of his crew over to help us with the signs. He did an outstanding job, Paul, so if you could relay that to him. And maybe one of these days we can steal them over there again.
Bobby? All right, county attorney's report.
We discussed earlier the Freedom of Information Act request from UMG. and what documents they provided and what we feel they probably need to provide more documents than what it was. I'll be getting together with Herbie and Keith and looking at the original request from several years ago and the court's order that they had to comply with, and also see whether or not we want to give them an opportunity to comply, or whether or not we want to go ahead and file a motion with a judge to force them to comply with it. And there is potentially could be sanctions against UMG for failure to comply with the court order. There's also another issue that we need to look into, whether or not an employee is a county employee or a state employee funded through the county, but we'll look into that and have an answer for you hopefully by March 5th at the next court meeting.
All right. My comment is I need a motion to adjourn.
Judge, before you do that now, I think we got a few things we need to discuss for the public. I guess it would be appropriate about the question was asked about what we're going to do with the assistant county attorney.
All right.
I think one of the issues we're looking for is whether or not he is a county employee and would be subject to the policy and the rules and protection of all county employees, or whether or not he's a state employee simply funded through county funds. I don't know the answer to that question yet because it just came up back in session. So until I figure that out, it's kind of hard for me to say that we fund it or don't fund it. Because if it is a funded position, one that is the money's already been budgeted out, then if he's entitled to the donated time, or he's entitled to whatever procedure and policy is in place for county employees, you have to give him that opportunity. Otherwise, potentially there's liability because he's not afforded that same protection. So I'd rather know ahead of time whether or not he's county or state, because if he is county and you terminate without giving him the same protection, you open the county up to a lawsuit for that. So we just need to make sure which one he is first.
Hill, I think there's a question that there was donated time to cover a specific period that overlaps March 1st. So he does have donated time up through June 30th at least. So that's
Well, Herbie, you were out using the restroom or somewhere when that question came up before we went into executive session. And I guess some of the people were waiting to hear.
But that the employee we're talking about had donated time from fellow employees up through June 30th. And it's my recollection now that he is applying for the disability through the state and through the United States Air Force, and that he is under no circumstances will he be under the employment after June 30th.
All right.
Now, Judge, you was wanting a motion to, Bob, do you have anything?
Yeah, before we adjourn, we got a young man that has a birthday coming up next week, and I'd like for us all to sing happy birthday to him, Judge Deskins.
He's 40 years old.
40?
Bob, will you be the song leader?
I'm the song leader? You all in trouble.
Birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear you. Happy birthday to you.
And many more.
All right. Well, I'll only, next Monday, I'll only be 88. All right. Now I'll make a motion to adjourn. Second. Roll call, please.
Third, whatever.
Magistrate Anderson, Magistrate Compton.
Yes.
Magistrate Murphy, Magistrate Robinson, Magistrate Dotson.
Yes.
Magistrate Varney.
Yes.
Judge Dixon.